I traveled to the jungle in Costa Rica to experience ayahuasca. I witnessed somebody, an individual who was deaf her entire life, get her hearing back after just one ayahuasca ceremony. I witnessed that in person. The medicine, you take it and it attacks whatever trauma that you have buried within you, and then it pulls it out of you. That is not a pleasant process. I'm in the hammock and I'm experiencing all kinds of things, unworldly things. I'm seeing myself through this different lens, and I do not like what I'm seeing. Right after this kind of very emotional experience, emotional lesson, a hard lesson, but an important lesson, there was just a shift. And again, I'm still laying there in the hammock. I have no idea how much time has gone by at this point, but now something else is happening. So since we started releasing this content on YouTube, I have received no less than 2,000 direct messages from people who give me great feedback on the content, but also saying like, look, I didn't know that you were funny. Like, I just thought you were kind of like serious, like, let's go kick some ass.
You have to believe in what the doing.
It's like, don't be a fat piece of shit, etc. That's a great compliment that you can give me, because I haven't always been funny. In fact, for the majority of my life, I was very uptight.
This tastes like this is garbage, man.
Are you kidding me? I lived a pretty stressful life. I started going through very extreme conditions from a very young age. I was dealt adversity and lived through adversity. I used to be, not only did I used to not be unfunny, I used to be very uptight. I want to share with you guys the origins of the concept of this show, not just the concept, the version of me that you see before you today, because I wasn't always this person. I'm gonna take you back to 2019, December 2019, about 5 years ago, when I went to Costa Rica to experience ayahuasca. I traveled to the jungle, the heart of the jungle in Costa Rica, to partake in a 6-day ayahuasca retreat. Now, of those 6 days, 4 of them would be ceremonies where you're actually taking the medicine. Just for those of you who don't know, ayahuasca is a plant-based medicine. It is a psychoactive compound that, when ingested, produces profound psychedelic effects. And people use psychedelics for a number of reasons, right? You have just people who are just druggies, and that's kind of what I thought initially when I heard of ayahuasca. I'm like, oh, that's another drug for these druggies to get fucked up and escape reality.
What emotions do you feel?
They just want to mask the pathetic, dismal existence that is their own life. I'm not gonna do that. That's for them, that ain't for me. But that was based off ignorance. You see, we live in a country that demonizes anything that actually has the ability to help people and to change people's lives objectively and measurably for the better. So, ayahuasca and other psychedelics like it, although you'll hear thousands of people who have had life-changing experiences.
From the ayahuasca, I actually benefited more. It was like going through therapy or something.
I had been on my personal development journey at that point for about 10 years, and I was just ready to take it to the next level. I had the opportunity to speak to some people who I respected and trusted about ayahuasca and their experiences with it. Dorian Yates was one of them.
That's the one.
Legendary bodybuilder and now a plant medicine activist. Some of the things that he had to say really changed my perspective. Talked to my buddy Chris Cavallini about it as well. He was already signed up to go do it. He had done a lot of research and he told me about it. And Chris has never given me bad advice. And in fact, basically, there's not many people I take advice from. Chris is on that very short list. After researching it, I felt called to doing it. Researching, talking to the guys. I had had a few successful years to that point, but I was so stressed out like all of the time, because despite having some successful years and despite growing the company, reaching millionaire status, and just having a lot of positive things happening in my life, I still had a lot of problems. I mean, I was making progress, I was growing the company, growing myself as a human on my self-mastery journey, making measurable improvements, but like I still had problems, and I'm like, what the am I not doing correctly? And I wanted to go out into the jungle and I wanted to experience this plant medicine to see that if it could help raise my consciousness, put me in just a heightened state of consciousness and awareness, and give me the answers that I clearly, from my existing state of consciousness, could not figure out on my own. So there's so many cool stories that I could tell you from this experience, but I'm only gonna tell you one. I witnessed somebody, an individual who was deaf her entire life, get her hearing back after just one ayahuasca ceremony. I witnessed that in person. A lot of people are gonna hear that, like, that didn't happen. I'm like, okay, fine, cool. I don't care if you believe it. I witnessed it. And for me, why was that so impactful? Well, not only was I really happy for her, witnessing her emotional reaction when that happened. I mean, it was some powerful shit. So not only am I happy for her, but I had the opportunity to witness something that is impossible. Somebody getting their hearing back after being deaf for 48 fucking years. That's impossible. It's not possible, but I witnessed it happen. And the lesson that I took away from that is that anything is fucking possible. And that is how I live my life. No matter what the situation is, no matter how difficult, no matter how far-fetched, no matter how unwinnable a situation may in fact be, there's always, and I mean always, something that can be done to make it fucking happen. And that was a very empowering lesson. But that is not the lesson that resulted in me creating this content and becoming the person that I am today. That lesson was on night 2. So on night 2, I'm laying in a hammock. In the background, you hear some music. You also hear people screaming like they're getting attacked or chopped up with a chainsaw, legitimately, okay? You're hearing people vomiting, you're hearing people crying, you're hearing all kinds of shit, because that's the way this medicine works. The medicine, you take it and it attacks whatever trauma that you have buried within you, and then it pulls it out of you. But that is not a pleasant process. For it to come out of you, you have to experience it on the surface. The purging of those emotions, the purging of that trauma, typically comes in the form of crying, puking, shitting, screaming, or laughing, as it were. I'm in the hammock and I'm experiencing all kinds of things, unworldly things. I mean, I'm seeing beautiful, ancient geometric patterns that are just evolving to an infinite degree in colors that are indescribable, because the colors of the geometric shapes that are just constantly evolving in real time, they don't exist in this reality. So I couldn't say they're purple, they're pink, whatever. They were colors that don't exist in this reality. It was amazing. But during that experience, you're not just hallucinating. Things are just kind of popping in your brain. You are hallucinating, but you are also receiving downloads and information from this higher power that the indigenous people of Costa Rica and the Amazon in general refer to as Mother Ayahuasca. Mother Ayahuasca, in this elevated state of consciousness, she is teaching you things. She's showing you things. A lot of those things you do not want to see, because she shows you who you really are. And for a lot of us, that's a scary thing, when you see yourself through a completely different lens, through a psychedelic lens that shows you objectively who you actually are. Now, although unpleasant, it's also an opportunity, because now you know the truth. Now you know the truth. Now you know who you are. And what the f are you going to do about it? Obviously, that part is on you after the fact. But I'm seeing myself through this different lens, and I do not like what I'm seeing. I do not like what I'm seeing at all. I see this stressed, constantly pissed off person who is constantly mistreating the people around him that he cares about and would do anything for, including take a fucking bullet. I didn't like that feeling at fucking all. The energy that I was projecting towards them was just completely unacceptable, and it made me sick. I was disgusted with myself seeing this, but it was important for me to know the truth. After I go through that, at some point, it just became clear to me what my problem actually was. You see, I was working hard, doing all the right things in my mind, making sacrifices, doing personal development, doing a lot in the community, just doing all the right things, checking all the boxes, but why the fuck do I still have these problems? Mother Ayahuasca communicated to me very deliberately and very quickly what my problem actually was. I thought that because I was working so hard, making all these sacrifices, doing all the right things, for some idiotic reason, I thought, as I was evolving and moving the needle, moving the chains, right? As I was achieving higher levels of self-mastery and success, I thought for some fucked up reason, then all my problems would go away. I'm not even joking. Looking back on it, I don't know what the fuck I could have possibly been thinking, because I know that problems are opportunities at every level. Like, I fucking knew this, but for some reason I was not acting consistent with it. I was acting like a victim. I somehow allowed myself to slip back into that victim mindset. You see, my problem wasn't the problem. My problem was the attitude I had towards the problem. Most people, like, their biggest problem is the fact that they believe they shouldn't have any. And how do I know that? I was one of those people. So this was really powerful. It was really powerful and it was really important. A lot of the things that, I'm speaking about, the way that I was feeling the constant stress, like, I kept it inside. Not a lot of people had access to that version of me, but it was still within me, which means it was still affecting the way I was doing basically fucking everything. But I was feeling really down on myself having this experience in a healthy way. But as I was starting to, really feel sad and recognize how much making up I had to do to as many people as I did, Mother Ayahuasca told me that I've done good. That's all. Hey, you've done good. And as someone who didn't grow up with a dad, as someone who didn't grow up in a traditional household, those weren't words that I really have ever heard throughout my entire life. Even now in the position that I'm in, people don't say that to me. It's expected that I do good. It's expected that I fucking win. So hearing that, it was powerful for me. Now, right after this kind of very emotional experience, emotional lesson, a hard lesson, but an important lesson, there was just a shift. And again, I'm still laying there in the hammock. I have no idea how much time has gone by at this point, because one of the things that happens when you take ayahuasca is you completely lose the concept of time. Time does not exist in that place, in that paradigm, if you will. So who fucking knows how much time has gone by? But there was a transition. And amidst that transition, there was one thing that I became acutely aware of. I really had to take a piss. I had to take a piss so bad. It was unbelievable to me that I wasn't thinking about how bad I had to take a piss up until that point where I realized I gotta get up and take a piss. So I was trying to get up out of the hammock. When I say trying to get up, I was trying to command, like my mind was trying to command my body to just get up, get out of the hammock. It is not very difficult, but for some reason, there was no movement whatsoever, which ended up working out okay, because then I transitioned again into a psychedelic state, completely forgot that I had to take a piss. I start hearing myself speak to myself. But this wasn't just myself. No, this wasn't the version of me that I was at that point. This version of me was more intelligent, more articulate, spoke polishly, and the most important feature that I will never forget, that stood out to me wildly in that moment, was this version of me was fucking hilarious. Like, I'm talking stand-up comedian level funny in normal conversation. And I am experiencing a discussion between what ultimately I realized and recognized as being my highest self. Okay, my highest self was having a conversation with this lower vibration, lower frequency version of me that I was at the time. It's like a dialogue where my highest self is coaching up my lowest self, but again, completely different language, speaking words that I didn't even know the definition of at that time. Polished, no ums, no ahs, just fluid communication that was highly motivational, but at the same time, super fucking funny. And at a couple points of this discussion, I then found myself back on the hammock, cracking up hysterically. Okay, and then I'm just like, wait a minute, what the fuck is going on? So let me just break this down for you, okay? I was having a conversation at the lower version, the lower frequency version of myself at the time. I was having a conversation with my highest self. Guess what? I actually wasn't doing that. Because if I was talking to my highest self, well, who's watching this shit? So then I realized, holy fuck, I'm not either of those. I'm actually the one observing this situation. But then I would wake up and I'd be laughing hysterically to this scenario that's unfolding. So there was 4 different versions of me that were present in that state of consciousness. And it was fucking insane, but it was amazing. Because what I realized is that highest version of me, my highest self, who that actually was me if you stripped all of the stress away. And that was very motivating for me because as somebody who was very serious, on edge all the fucking time, like I don't want to feel like that. I wanted to be like that. I wanted to be funny. I wanted to be fun. I wanted to be entertaining. I wanted to be able to tell good stories. I wanted to be motivational and at the same time be able to kind of implement a bit of comedy in the mix. I wanted all that. And that was a very attractive sight for me to see what is possible. So now it comes back to reality and I'm back in the hammock. And when I say I had to piss worse than anyone has ever had to piss in the history of the world, I actually believe that to be true because I had to piss so bad. There was not much time left. I would 60 seconds max until I was pissing in my pants in the hammock amidst this ceremony of shamans, spiritual healers, and 35 other individuals that were there to take ayahuasca and hopefully have a transformative experience the same as I was at that point. So I was out of time for reasons that are still not clear to me, other than the fact that I took a shitload of ayahuasca. I was not able to mechanically operate and move out of the hammock as fluidly and functionally as I would in my normal state of consciousness.
I can't move it anymore.
But I had to piss. And now, having experienced what I just did, I realized, you know what? I gotta stop taking myself so seriously. And I'm like, holy shit, that's it. The reason I'm so uptight all the time, the reason I'm stressed, the reason my fucking temper is so short and I have such little patience for so many things is because I'm just taking myself too seriously. And this is the funniest thing to me. And I'm in the hammock and I'm kind of laughing and I'm kind of swinging around and I'm just laughing my ass off, but I still get a piss. And I said, fuck it. If I get a piss, I'm gonna get there. I ain't gonna piss my pants. Here's what we're gonna do. And I secured a hand to each side of the hammock and I rocked it once and I rocked it twice. And on the third time, I flipped it and I flip down on my face on the ground, laughing hysterically. So much, in fact, that I'll admit, a few drops of piss very well may have rolled down my leg. But I got up, cracking up the entire way to the bathroom, took a piss, got it out, and left that night transformed. All right, guys, so if you want to hear more ayahuasca stories, let us know in the comments. And this is so annoying. You know, when you watch YouTube videos, they're like, please like, comment, share. It's like, you're a fucking geek. But evidently that's actually really important. And if you guys are liking, commenting, and sharing, it's gonna help more people see this. I want to grow, I want to reach more people, guys, not just with these stories, but I want these stories to be kind of a funnel to my other platforms where the real value comes in. So if you got value from this, and if you made it all the way through, I would like to think that you did. Drop me a comment, share it, tell your friends, and just know I'm gonna be back with some more fire real soon.